Yeah, I got a show for y'all.
Damn good show. This is the worst woman in politics right here. She's worse than
myself. I don't know about that. They giving me hell, honey.
Yeah, but you give it right back to them. A lot of them don't do that.
Absolutely. It's a must in this environment,
That's
though,
right.
Because they will steamroll right over you. And unfortunately, we see that ever since day one, baby, that pen been going and it ain't stopped. And it's steamrolling over all of our rights and our liberties and our freedoms. And
what rights have we lost? What rights have we lost? We haven't lost any rights. What is she talking about? Who's lost rights?
Well, you got to give her a pass. She's a black woman.
And everything that we thought was the foundation of this country, our Constitution.
Yes.
Seems like we're saying, well, nope, with a pen, get rid of the Constitution. With a pen, get rid of impoundment and other laws that exist.
I don't see how anybody could be a Democrat these days. I mean, you can't just walk in and circumvent the Constitution. That's a powerful document.
Yeah.
If he did something, if he circumvented the Constitution, did away with the Constitution, like she's saying, that's an impeachable offense.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, before we continue this video, go to the U.S. debt clock. DOGE is actually doing something good. They're saving the American people money. And they're trying to undermine what Elon Musk and DOGE is doing. Right there, if you see right there, it says DOGE clock. It says the DOGE has saved the American people 113. Wait a minute. I thought there was 113 million. What was that?
It's 113 billion.
Wait a minute. What? 113 billion?
Yeah, you just got started.
They saved us 113 billion, and Trump has been in office for what? Maybe a month?
Yeah.
Just to put things in perspective, that's how much they've saved the American people. But she's saying they're going against the Constitution and they're taking away people's rights.
Yeah. Well, they just misrepresent what's going on.
Yeah, they partisan, just contrarians.
I think that Americans just didn't believe that he would go with that Project 2025, or what?
Oh, man, come on, man.
What was that? I mean, he said, I don't even know what it is. Remember?
Oh, I remember, honey.
Yeah.
I remember there was actually a hearing that we had in oversight, and it was right after he said, oh, I know nothing about that Project 2025.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a witness, and I mentioned that his name was mentioned 312 times.
Yes.
In Project 2025.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is interesting that he don't know nothing about it, but he's all through it.
And if it's his name, he's riveted to it.
No. And he's relying on the people that absolutely pulled it together.
Like J.D. Vance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So here's the deal. I mean, I think that there are those that just said, I want to do something different. Yeah. And so we know that typically when people are feeling it, especially in the economy, they tend to just go the other way.
Why?
The problem is that this wasn't the guy to fix anything. This is the guy that is the king of breaking things.
Biden did everything right.
They said Trump is the king of breaking things.
Yeah, and Biden was the president, but he wasn't the president.
Well, let's just say
that dude could even operate his own Twitter.
As we can see.
Yeah. Well, Congresswoman, Elon Musk and DOGE, the team, have been infiltrating and dismantling federal agencies. He says he's rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, all while gaining access to some of our most sensitive data. So you sit on the DOGE subcommittee run by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Are you getting any more clarity on what exactly Elon and DOGE are doing?
You need clarity? We was in the wind since I was born, we was in the wind with what the Democrats or Republicans were spending money on. We found out they was taking hamsters, gerbils, rats, chopping off their mushroom tips and giving them hormonal drugs that was the opposite of the animal's biological sex to see what would happen if we gave it ecstasy and it was going through and it was being transgenderized.
Yeah, there's trans in the hamsters.
How much money? Hundreds of millions? 200 million?
I think it was $200 million spent on trans and like animals.
Imagine, America, how many hamsters, how many rats, how many gerbils, how many animals, period, had you had to castrate before you came up to $200 million?
Yeah.
That sounds like a genocide to me.
Genocide.
That sounds like a transgender genocide. Of the animals, yeah.
It's money laundering. That's
It's
all it
weird,
is.
but they have nothing to say about that.
No, they're going to gaslight and misrepresent what's going on. But let's listen to them. I hate to stop the video so often, but it's like as soon as they speak, they lying.
Yeah.
Can't even get the question out. Listen, interestingly enough, there was the court filing that came out, or there was the order that came out from Judge Chuckin yesterday, right? And one of the things that the White House and the DOJ is currently saying is that, Elon has no power.
Yeah.
Elon isn't doing that.
He's not an employee, and he doesn't head the agency. They
Right.
say.
He's tech support, I think, is what they said.
So who's lying is my question. But somebody lying, right? Because they've been like, Elon is cleaning it up, right? So someone's not telling the truth. And I hope that the lawyers are the ones that are telling the truth, because there is a higher standard when it comes to practicing law. This is why Donald Trump's lawyers tend to lose their law licenses.
Yeah.
But, I don't really know what's going on. And that is why the attorney generals really had a hard time meeting that burden for TRO, is because we can't say exactly what he's doing. But the problem is we've never in this country, at least in my lifetime and in most other people's lifetimes, experienced someone who is so ingrained. And so we're going to have to start talking to some of these people that are getting fired. And we're going to have to find out from them, who is it that told you that you were experiencing your last day at work? Talk to us about these little teenagers running around. Was it one of them?
Well, they're doing it through OPM. Because I have friends that work there, and they got the note, and they got it from the Office of Personnel Management. And so, but DOGE told OPM to do it.
Right, and that's what we've got to get to the heart of it.
To that. I know all about that. But let me ask you this, Congresswoman. We're also seeing mass firings of federal workers across agencies like the Department of Education, the VA, the CDC, the FAA, even the USDA. In some cases, they've had to unfire critical employees, like our nuclear safety specialists, but they didn't have their government email addresses active anymore, so they can't find them. So now, on what grounds are, I know you can't make it up, it's like I'm writing a movie. On what grounds are they laying, a very bad movie, on what grounds are they laying off these workers, and how will the scale of this impact everyday workers who are concerned about the price of their eggs?
And nuclear arsenals.
So here's the deal. I don't really know what authority they have to do anything. I walked in and I didn't get to read the entire article, but earlier today, it seems like there is someone who was fired that was the head of an agency, and a judge ruled that firing was illegal. People seem to be surprised that the first felon that we ever elected to the White House commits crimes, but, or breaks the law. Breaks the law. But clearly, he has no respect for the law whatsoever. And
He's breaking the law.
That's the main reason why they persecuted Trump, so they can call him a convicted felon. He's a convicted felon over what? 34-time felon. If you actually believe that, you are brain dead.
You're a Democrat.
So for the most part, it seems like they've been going after probationary people because probationary employees do not enjoy the same protections.
They lack some protections.
Exactly. And so, it'll be interesting to see where the unions go with some of these lawsuits and how successful they are. But again, ultimately, I think that he's trying to get to his favorite court, the court that we know we all love to hate. The highest court. I think he's trying to get there and hoping to get some cover for all the nonsense. After all, this is the same court that gave him immunity so that he could go out and do some of the illegal things that he's doing.
Do you think they have a limit, though, the court?
You know what? I keep trying to point people to the TikTok decision. Not necessarily because of the subject matter, but more so because basically they said, no, this was signed into law, and in a 9-0 decision, they would not allow him to unilaterally overturn it. So we will see how well they hold up, but we know that this administration keeps threatening judges. If a judge hands down a decision that they don't like, they talk about impeaching that judge and getting rid of that judge, and they won't be able to get rid of these judges because the standard is too high. But he may end up telling some of those Supreme Court justices that are his, it's time for you to go. And they potentially will leave because he did that last time.
Well, I want to ask you.
She act like Republicans don't know that. It's a high standard to remove a judge. But Republicans are not like Democrats. Y'all tried to impeach him for nothing. For lies.
They went after Clarence Thomas. They went off to all his people he wanted to appoint as the Supreme Court justice. Just drag them through the mud with smear campaigns.
Yeah.
Now they supposedly, oh, y'all pro-Constitution.
Yeah. Oh, they're trying to get rid of the judges. They're going to impeach judges because they're not bending the knee to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
About Democrats. You're obviously leading next generation voice in the Democratic Party. And while Trump is moving at this breakneck pace, it feels like signing all these EOs, doing these long-ranging press conferences in the Oval Office, Democrats seem to not be getting their footing on what the message and strategy is to push back. We think of the leaders chanting, "We will win" outside of Treasury, which was widely panned. You've talked about Democrats needing a branding overhaul. Are you satisfied with the approach so far, and what do they need to do to kind of get their mojo back?
You know what? I think that just like the rest of the world, we've got a bit of whiplash because for some people, even those that voted for him, they said, well, we've been here before. And we didn't fall apart the last time he was here, so we won't fall apart this time. And so I think that while we had the playbook right there for us, Project 2025, I still think that even some Democrats were like, oh, well, he's just going to do what he did last time. And he's not. World leaders are recognizing that he's not the same. I mean, he's 10 times worse. And imagine that. This is the guy that oversaw how many deaths during COVID, right?
The reason why we had so many...
just blame him for COVID deaths.
Yeah, but the reason why we had so many deaths in COVID is because of what RFK Jr. has pointed out to everyone. Yeah. We're a very unhealthy country.
Right.
And the more things you have wrong with you, the more likely you're going to die from COVID. Yeah. Like, we're the fattest country in America. Yeah. Of course, we're going to, in the world. We're the fattest country in the world. Right. So we're going to have more COVID deaths.
Right.
But they blame Trump.
They twisting it, gaslighting people. How can a president actually stop somebody that's overweight, that has a lot of what they call them, a lot of disabilities from dying from a pandemic,
from a novel virus?
Yeah, how is that even possible?
What did Biden do that Trump didn't do?
Yeah, more people died under Biden's watch than Trump.
Right? And now we had Ebola breakout. Now we've got measles breakout. Like, this is bird flu, because they were some of the other people that got fired.
USDA firings.
Yeah, no. And he's like, oh, well, wait a minute. Like, this is just literally not even partisanship, in my opinion.
Trump's causing measles, bird flu, and everything else.
Bird flu was during Biden, but right before he got out.
Yeah.
How is it Trump's fault? How is a measles outbreak Trump's fault? She said this is not even partisan. This is bipartisan?
Opinion at this point. This is incompetence. And I think that, no, seriously, it's incompetence. And I know earlier y'all was talking about bring back the Bushes. I'm with you, honey. Like, listen,
it's some sense of normalcy, democratic norms.
And I keep saying
one thing, would you support Democrats shutting down the government as a bargaining chip to push back against the White House?
It's not, we don't have the power to shut the government down.
Well, to refuse to vote for funding bills.
I absolutely support that we should not be voting for this funding bill, because this funding bill is going to gut the things that we care about. And I don't believe that we can enter into good faith negotiations with people that literally could care less about their word. We saw what happened with the continuing resolution that kept the government open until March 14th, because Elon sent out a tweet that changed the trajectory of negotiations that had taken place with duly elected members of the House, the Senate, as well as the president. Okay. So my concern is this guy has decided that after monies were appropriated to literally turn off the spigot of money just at will because he wanted to do it. Who's to say that if we enter into good faith negotiations and we get some of the things that we feel like are good for the American people, that he won't just do what he wants to do and ignore the stuff he doesn't want to do? So I don't think that we should be voting for this. They have a Trump trifecta. Y'all better figure it out.
When Biden was in office, he did things that he wanted to do. He signed executive order. He put he put men in women's sports. He signed executive order the very first day.
Restrooms.
Yeah. So why is there any difference when Trump does it? If he wants to sign executive orders and he wants to do with things that he didn't agree with the Biden administration, that's well within his power to do so. Doesn't make him a dictator. If that makes him a dictator, it makes Joe Biden a dictator.
Yeah. They keep talking about how we didn't vote for Elon Musk. We didn't vote for Fauci. That dude had us sitting in the house wearing masks when we went out.
Yeah.
Taking shots, so you're going to get fired. Nobody voted for him.
Right.
Where was this energy then?
Y'all saying Trump is taking away people's rights through his policies. I haven't lost any rights. Nobody I know have lost any rights. But Biden's administration, actually, the bureaucracy under Joe Biden with Fauci, y'all actually mandated a vaccine or you was going to be fired or you couldn't work or you couldn't travel. Y'all actually took people's rights away.
Yeah.
And that's a fact.